right, I wanted to do a video overview of the SMEDING / MDC diesel drop-in turbo kit for the 6.7 liter POWERSTROKE. When I was looking around before I bought this kit, I did not see any videos whatsoever regarding the 6.7 liter POWERSTROKE and the SMEDING turbo. Saw a bunch of Cummins stuff, saw a guy walk around his truck, didn't really talk about it, a black Super Duty, but you know, I figured I'd go ahead, anybody's interested in this kit, do a video overview and maybe explain some of the nuances of installing the turbo, being that there's no directions, that this, this kit doesn't come with any directions at all. If you're mechanically inclined, it's pretty straightforward, pretty intuitive, but there are some nuances, so I wanted to go over that real quick. I went with the 6368. I see a lot of guys go with the 64.5, and I'll talk about why I went with the 63 in a minute. But first, I wanted to talk about the nuances. This kit, it is a cheaper kit, and I was looking at the SPE, Snyder Performance Engineering. I was looking at what else? NDP, Maryland Diesel Performance, and the KC Turbo kit. Ended up going with the SMEDING because of the price. I mean, I went with all the intake piping, hot side, cold side, intercooler, plus the intake and the manifold, and the turbo I did the billet wheel, 360-degree extreme bearing that they offer instead of the 270-degree bearing, just for longevity, and hopefully it holds up a little bit longer with that 360-degree bearing. But you're at like $3,200, which is kind of hard to beat. So, when you're putting this turbo in, it is a bear. If you do not realize, after calling Mac, I figured this out. So I knew you had to clock the housing on the turbo, damn, I can't talk. Clock the turbine housing to fit up to the up pipes. But doing that and messing around with it for about 3 hours in and out, I couldn't figure out. I got the top to line up, no problem, but the bottom one was a pain in the ass, and I could not get it. So about 3 hours of messing with that, I decided to throw in the towel, call Mac, and he explained to me that on top of the pedestal, let's see if I can get you down in there. There is, you can kind of see that Allen bolt to the left of the oil feed line, and then there's another one right there. So you can adjust those, and the turbo has probably about a 1/4 inch of lateral movement in this direction by doing that. I didn't think you could do that. I saw those bolts, I noticed them, but I figured there was some kind of a dowel pin or something on top of that pedestal to line it up for the oil feed line. That's not the case. It just has a rubber O-ring that mates up against a flat surface. So called Mac, and he says if you can't get it, by clocking the turbine housing, then go ahead and adjust those bolts and get it to twist. And that was the ticket. Went right in after that, had no issues. It was pretty easy kit to install though. I mean, no one's gonna I don't think you'll have any issues as far as that goes. The turbo piping doesn't fit that well. I mean, you better keep all your hose clamps loose. Don't tighten anything up until you get everything in. I can say that the intake did not fit at all. I had to cut it up. Luckily, I'm a welder by trade, fabricator, so I was able to cut the intake up to get it fit better. Had to add this extension in here. Other than that, I mean, it wasn't too bad. Actually, I did have to waller out these holes. I believe it was a 9/32 I wallered it out to, just because they didn't line up either. I mean, you could get them screwed in, but it was so damn tight that I wasn't happy with that. So I wallered them out to 9/32. Back to the turbo itself, I went to 6368. I went with the 6368 because I do tow with the truck, and I don't race the truck. I don't care to make a ton of power. The trucks from factory make pretty good power, and they yank around just about anything that's hooked to them. I didn't really see the need to do the 64.5 unless you were wanting to make, 550 horse, which is, I believe, is what the 64.5 is capable of. It just didn't seem necessary to me. I'd rather have good street characteristics and manners, driving around, not being so laggy. So I've heard that the 64.5s, don't start building boost until around 2,000, 2,100 RPM, to where this 63, it starts building boost. I'm building about 5 pounds at 1,500 RPM. So the lag is very minimal. Almost, it's really not even noticeable street driving. I mean, if I were to mat the throttle foot to the floor and not roll into it, yeah, you'd probably notice a little bit of lag, but just rolling into it, you don't notice it at all. I don't really, like I said, I haven't towed with it yet, but I don't see there being any issue when I go to tow. I don't think it's gonna affect me at all. No one really mentions tuning. The tunes I ended up going with, and this was under recommendation of Mac at MDC, was Proven Diesel. I've had a few different tunes on this truck. I've had H&S tunes, I've had Gorilla Diesel Performance tunes, and I could say Proven Diesel, pretty happy with their tunes. Very clean idling truck. I mean, almost no smoke at all, and this is a fixed vane, non-VGT turbo, so usually expect a little bit of smoke when you start rolling into it, but it burns pretty clean. Idles really smooth. Shifting, now I have the truck on stock. I did buy a 50 horsepower tune also. I noticed on the 50 horsepower tune, it's got, like you would expect, the firmer shifts, and I ended up just keeping it on the stock tune, stock fueling, so they weren't as aggressive with the trans tuning, and it shifts like factory, nice and smooth. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Trying to think of what else I wanted to say. I think that covers it. If you guys, actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and start it up for you. I mean, it's hard to tell on video. The truck is a little louder. It's a little deeper tone. I probably, because the turbo itself is a fixed vane turbo, and the back pressure, I would imagine, isn't nearly as much as it was with the VGT turbo. So it does have a little bit throatier, deeper sound. And also, before this piping kit, I had the S&B intake on with the enclosed box. With the wide open air filter like that, that helps a little bit in the sound amplifying, to give that little throatier sound, more of a V8 sound, not as much of a as diesel-y. But I'll go ahead and fire it up, let you guys listen to it. Like I said, I know it's hard to get on video, but hold on a second here. You don't really get the turbo whistle at idle like you do the VGT, but when this thing does light, it sounds pretty good. It sounds like I would compare it to the way a 12 valve sounds when the turbo lights. Just very jet airplane like. Sounds pretty good. Pretty happy with it. I'll go ahead and follow this video up with a I guess maybe like a couple month overview, and after I actually tow with it, and if I still happy, or how I feel about it at that point. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and make a comment. I'll answer the best I can. Have a good one.